Welcome back to Haunted and Historic Australia for another episode in our Adventures series. In this episode, we take a look at North Rock Cemetery, which has an interesting story to tell of its beginnings. Having family in the North Rocks area growing up, on Halloween in the 1990s, as a teen, I remember being dared to run through the cemetery. Not very respectful of the dead, but I'm sure they forgave us dumb teenagers. We did, however, trick-or-treat the Pizza Hut into giving us a family-sized pizza. Surprisingly, it worked. It was a memorable night, some almost 30 years ago. But apart from my history with the cemetery, its origin story is quite interesting. It all started when James Maher, a convict on Surrey 2, transported for a single crime, no doubt, received 7 years. He was a red-haired, freckle-faced lad from Tipperary Island, arriving in 1816 to do his time, which he did, and came under the eye of one Reverend Samuel Marsden, who was known to be a very strict and brutal man to convicts. So James must have been good. James had been part of a clearing gang in Windsor, and Marsden believed he would be a good farmer. He assisted James in writing a request for a grant of land from Governor Brisbane in 1823. A few years later, in 1825, he was said to have received 50 acres land in Castle Hill area. He also had a housekeeper living with him, a Mary Wright, and 3 sons, who she'd had with a previous convict, Robert Allen. He'd gotten into some trouble a few years before and been jailed again, leaving Mary and the kids homeless. Mary was born into the colony in the Hawkesbury region. It appears Robert Allen's land must have been given to James after he'd been arrested, as well as the story that Robert Allen sold his wife to James for a barrel of rum. But whether that is true, who could know? Either way, Mary and James ended up together. Her sons went to work on a property in Pitttown with her brother, and then Mary and James had children together. In 1830, an Edward James Maher was born. Edward would have assisted the family on the farm, and by age 21 he married Bridget Ellen Porter, who was born to parents in the colony around 1833. They had a large family of 14 children together and initially ran a hotel on Church Street in Parramatta, eventually buying property from Marsden in Pennant Hills and the North Rocks area, where he established a large bountiful orchard. In 1855, Edward purchased some land in the Beecroft area near Copeland Road, and Mars Close in Beecroft is named after Edward and the family. Sadly though, in 1888, one of Edward's granddaughters, Eva Maud, who was born to their son Richard, died tragically in an accident. I couldn't find what the accident was though, but being on a farm or orchard, it could have been anything at all, little kids running around. Edward donated 4 acres of his North Rocks property to the Catholic Church to establish a cemetery. Eva was the first interred. But a few years later, Edward's own daughter, Mary Frances Ann Maher, only aged 18, dies of burn injuries. I couldn't find what those injuries were either, but it could have been a fire within the home or under the hearth where they cook. These injuries led to Mary Frances's death at only age 18. She was also interred at the North Rock Cemetery with her young niece, as would be the rest of the Maher clan from then on. Edward's parents, James and Mary, were buried at St Patrick's Cemetery in North Parramatta, some 20 years before the North Rock Cemetery was established. And thank you to the amazing Judith Dunn for all that research. We decided ourselves to have a look at the cemetery that's been there for so long. And I'd even been there back in the 90s myself, not really taking notice of what was going on around me, or who was buried beneath me. But here, 30 years later, to have a good look and pay our respects to the Maher family, as with all the others buried in the cemetery also. We hope you enjoy this episode. Carlingford Cemetery in the rain. Apologies for the noise. Now, I didn't imagine it was this large, so I'm a little bit deer in the headlights here, trying to locate the people and the graves of the people who were first buried here. The Maher family. Sadly, a lot of them aren't in viewable order. You know you're in an old cemetery when you can't read the gravestones, but these are quite large. Now it does appear some of them may even be around the tree line here. And there's lots of vacant spots, so we're probably standing upon burial ground there. Now I'm guessing that these are the ones that are the oldest. They seem to be in the most disrepair. Okay, that's Hurley. These ones, some of them do look really old, but these ones up here I feel might be the oldest. And the less viewable. What we'll do is we'll run through the cemetery first. I'll walk calmly, and then we can look up the plot for the Maher family. Wow, we've got a lot of sinkage here. Now the first burial was in 1888, and that was Eva Maud Maher, who was the grandchild of, so dark, can't even read them. I'll come back here because it's possibly one of them along here. Yes, 1888, the granddaughter of Edward James Maher, who organised for this cemetery to be here. His grandchild died in a tragic accident, and they wanted her to be close by to where the family lived, and Edward James Maher owned this particular area and had orchards growing in the North Rocks area, and donated 4 acres to the Catholic Church in order to have his granddaughter buried close by. Now, as we know the story of his father, James, convict from Ireland, was transported to Australia in 1816. And he and his wife, Mary Wright, or previously Mary Allen, maiden name was Wright, was born in the Hawkesbury area in the colony. Wow, I think we might be in luck up here, if I can get there. Jeez, look at the mud and sludge. Oh, picked a great day to come here, didn't I? That's alright, look, we're going to have to battle the elements to get through to what I'm imagining up here is where I'm looking for. Hopefully it's not too spidery. There's some beautiful headstones right here. Apologies for the light. Now, I've got a feeling that we might be at the Maher plot. It's quite a big plot. This is something else. I wish I could see more. And I've left the torch in the car. That's alright, we'll have to come back up here and have a look in the daytime at some point. Well, we can do a night explore now, but there's some little ones in there that might be pretty good. Unfortunately, my camera's doing the old blurry because I'm in too much darkness here in the undergrowth of several gum trees. Wow, mud and sludge everywhere. I'm just gonna try not to get these new white shoes brown. Okay, now we've got people living along there. Okay, so we're just going to do a sweep of the cemetery, Catholic cemetery. Look, it's quite large. I didn't remember it being this large, to be honest. As I said, I was here in my teens, in the 90s, doing silly things as teens do. Person. And yeah, I don't remember it being this big. But then again, it's been a long time. Almost 30 years. Probably would have been 13 or 14 at the time. Yeah, some of these are very crumbled. Wow. It's quite a large cemetery. Yeah, definitely have to come here when it's sunny, bright. But I will put up the images anyway of the Maher gravestones. The founders of this cemetery, the ones who had the land before and established the cemetery. Now, the story goes that his great-granddaughter, or the great-granddaughter of Edward, tragically died, and he had her interred here first. That's why he had this place established. And then a couple of years later, his daughter, Mary Frances Ann Maher, of only 18 years, died from burn injuries. So I don't really know, I tried looking, believe me, I don't really know what the injuries were, but she was only 18, poor love. What a shame. And little Eva Maud was even younger. was only a little kid. And she was tragically injured on the farm somehow, which is a real shame. But these ones seem to be a lot newer, these particular gravestones, so through the 1900s I would imagine. The ones up here seem to be the older ones. Oh, maybe not those ones there, but it does appear to be starting from Palmer roadside and then going down to what looks to be some type of RSL. Is it a Carlingford RSL? Maybe? Possibly. I'll have to check that out. We came the other end through the M2 to get here rather than all the way along North Rocks Road, which I was more familiar with. So, wow. Now these ones, these ones are more of the newer graves. In that respect, I won't shine a torch on any of the current graves and things like that. I'm hoping that my voice is clear enough with the rain coming down that I don't need to dub over the top of this, but if I have to, I'll have to. The video might go up a little later. Wow. Okay, ground's getting a little soft here. Always makes me nervous when it's raining. The ground beneath me gets a little soft. Much as I respect the dead, I don't really want to end up in their lap. I'll just back away. Yes, it's not the right day for it, unfortunately. Filming. So we definitely have to come back in a sunnier day. Wow, I'll go walk through this. Yes. Hasn't rained for weeks, and then I earmark a day to come and do this, and we have sludge. So I'm just going to make my way along here as best I can without slip and slide down the aisle. It's very sludgy. You'll have to get up onto the road part. It's going to drive over me. Yes, so my main point for coming here was to show you guys the cemetery. It's another old cemetery, 1888, it's pretty old. Not as old as some of the ones we've seen, obviously, but still quite old. Now, Edward James's father and mother were buried at St Patrick's in North Parramatta, and then the rest of the family buried out here in North Rocks / Carlingford. It's a nice cemetery. As I said, it's larger than I expected. I thought it would be like half the size of this and then I'd be able to get to everywhere in time. But unfortunately, it's quite large, so it's definitely one that will have to be done during daylight hours and not on a stormy day that's grey, dark. Unfortunately, our pop's in the hospital at the moment. Mum's hubby, so it's restricted our ability to come out earlier. But of course we want him to make a full recovery speedy, so some things have to be left for later. But we will come back and do this one in the daylight. We'll definitely revisit this because it's an important cemetery, important to the area, with the Maher family involved, who were a vital part of the Sydney area, in this particular area of New South Wales. Mitch up there. He's got a better camera, so his lot will be a lot clearer than mine. But I'll finish up mine here, try and get some photos if I can of the Mahers before we go. And then we'll definitely come back on a sunnier day to film more.